Former Vice President and 2024 presidential candidate Kamala Harris has a memoir coming out. It's called 107 Days. And it was announced right around when we found out that she wasn't going to run for governor of California. And I just want to say this really quickly. There are conservatives and even some supposed left wing people who are celebrating her deciding not to run for governor. I said this during the video. I really don't think her being in the race, with or whether she's in it or not, is going to yield the state of California a governor who will address the plight of the common man. A governor who will pursue labor laws so that jobs can't just sit there and give you 5 hours a week. To do something about the hundreds of thousands of homeless people. You're not going to get that whether Harris was in the race or was not in the race. So that's why I wasn't sitting there giggling and smiling. The only person so far in that race that has any shot of being halfway decent is probably Katie Porter, and I don't think she'll be able to win. Unfortunately, even though I'll go and support her, but whatever. But I mostly wanted to kind of say that this really explains why she didn't want to run for governor, because the whole point of putting out this book is so we can put blame on Biden and every other factor and person that was not her. And she is most likely going to go on a book tour, which could last several months. Not the kind of thing you want to do if you're also simultaneously trying to run for governor. So not running for office is a way of allowing her to just be this, in quotation marks, private citizen who's just going around and promoting her novel. And she can also use it as an opportunity to give her, vague ideas of where the U.S. should be if it weren't for Trump. I'd say of anything in the past, this most reminds me. It's interesting. She's following Hillary's pantsuit footsteps by, like, in two separate ways, where you are within months of becoming a private citizen putting out a memoir that has to do with your time in government. So for Hillary, she had Hard Choices, that book on her being Secretary of State. But then you're also putting out a memoir within 7, 8, 9 months of when you ran for president and lost, which would happen with Hillary as well. She put out What Happened, which I gotta tell you, that was that book should go down in history as the handbook of blaming everything and everyone else for an election loss. So I think she'll probably this is like the second coming of What Happened by a different failed Democratic presidential candidate. And really, it's kind of sad because you could tell her time as VP was so uneventful, like was just such a nothing. And I'm assuming the book is just on her. I read it hasn't come out yet, but we know that it's about 300 pages, so it's probably, I'd say the first third of it could be a little bit about her time as VP, and then the rest of it is just dealing with being the presidential nominee, and of course there might be like some epilogue chapter on what she immediately wanted to do after losing. But you could tell that her time as vice president was like so inconsequential and just nothing, when you skip the whole time you were VP to talk about the 107 days where you were the presidential nominee for your party. Man, I guess, because like you would say, oh well, you didn't like her anyway, so what would even make you happy in terms of her writing a book? I think if it comes out and it actually goes into where she made missteps, and she did make missteps. If it talks about, I this would be, it just shows you how you can't please people. If there was one line in that book about, I should have been more forthright with regard to Israel not having the right to destroy the lives of innocent Palestinian people because of its conflict with Hamas, I would be shocked if there was just a single sentence that said this was an issue that I did not take seriously enough. This may have cost me Michigan, where there were a lot of people who would not support me because of that. 2024, along with this year, are years that have been dominated by political protest, and one of the biggest causes of these protests on these college campuses and just all over America has been U.S. policy towards Israel. You know, if she even had one sentence that acknowledged where that was a blind spot of hers, I might go and buy the book. Not immediately when it comes out, because the thing's almost $30 which that's another. You know, we were talking about like stuff being overpriced. Imagine like having just being expected to pay $30 for a book. Not even a book that's long, right? Like what was that path? What was it? Master of the Senate, right? The Robert Caro book. That was probably about 1,000 pages. Like not even like the length of it doesn't justify the price. It is literally just this is the vice president's pity book. You know, her self-help reflection of what of her campaign that went awry, and we are one of the major publishers, so we're gonna stick this crazy price on here. And it's nuts. It's nuts. I really I was looking at Hillary's book, for example, that not what happened, but the last one, which I thought was one of the most pointless memoirs I've ever seen. It's like this lady wrote a memoir about her life up to becoming a senator. She wrote a memoir about her time as Secretary of State. She wrote a memoir about her time running for president the second time. I mean, like, I've never seen anybody else that has 3 or 4 goddamn memoirs. Like, it's usually 1 or 2 and that's it. But she wrote this memoir called Something Lost, Something Gained. And people had such an adverse reaction to it that you can get it on Amazon from their shipment center. So not even like, oh, some secondary source has it and they're knocking the price down on it. You can get Hillary's latest memoir for include like with free shipping for $3 on Amazon. Like a little bit over 3, like almost like 330, 339, 360. You can get the former Secretary of State, former First Lady, former presidential candidate's latest book for less than $4 from the Amazon warehouse. And before somebody says, oh, well, you know, the book's been out for a year, so of course knock the price down. Listen, Obama's memoir has been out for 5 years. And you can, whatever opinions you have of him, you're not going to be able to get that from Amazon directly for no cheaper than probably $10. Even with it being an older book, there's still enough of a demand for it that they're not going to knock it down to a few dollars because they just want to get rid of it so badly. Her and Pelosi and the rest, with a lot of these politicians, their books sell because of name recognition. People are not going to buy Harris's memoir on her presidential campaign because she ran this incredible campaign that highlighted multiple different issues. She was propped up, told she was going to win, got in over her head, and then lost. And people will get it just simply because of, again, name recognition, not because of like some great prose. And it's interesting. It really is, just seeing the kind of stuff that they expect us to want to go out and get. But yeah, I'd be very shocked if there's anything in there that is worth reading, any admissions of wrongdoing, not criminal wrongdoing, just like, hey, I should have campaigned here or said something else. And it's sad because these people are, they're going to learn no lessons from this past election, and yet they're going to get paid tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars from the sale of this stupid book, and then from whatever other speaking engagements that she has coming up. And the people who she let down, who are getting deported or working some job where they don't have benefits, even though they've been there for 10 years because they don't give them enough hours on the regular, these are the people that she let down, and they're going to just keep suffering. And it's unfortunate that is the state of affairs, where the person who held the key to preventing the same old corporatized destruction of America, the one where everybody is like barely getting by the skin of their teeth, they don't get punished for that failure. They don't. The people suffer when they make a mistake, and that's very awful.